Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night from when you're watching this video. This is John from IT Skills Academy, and I take this opportunity to welcome you back to my channel. We continue to create this Tailwind dashboard. We are now in episode 2. So if you're watching this video for the first time, I would recommend that you look for the first video in this series. I'll leave a link in the description of this video. So having said that, I think it's the high time that we get started. Earlier on, I was running a post which is still active, where I was asking you how long you would like my videos to be. So the options were 30 minutes maximum and 1 hour maximum. So majority of you wants my videos to be at least 30 minutes maximum, and so every video that I'm doing, I'm trying to do it under 30 minutes, and so this video will be the same. So as you can see, we don't have a lot of time, so let's get started. But before we start, we'll roll the intro. Alright, so thanks for choosing to continue to learn with IT Skills Academy. So in front of us is what we have created, or what we created in episode 1, and so we want to continue with this section here, the conversations. So we want to be able to add some stuff down here, and also head on to this other part here. So let me launch to the Visual Studio Code, and this is the code so far. So now, to be able to add some stuff below here, we'll do that under the conversations. As you can see, this word conversations is what we have here. So we want now to be able to add some more stuff there. And if you've been following along, you know that we are doing this using divs. So we are creating divs which we are giving classes, and then giving them some source. So the classes are helping us to style the div. So we're going to start right away with our first div, and I want us to have 2 divs. So I'll just come and say div, and inside this I'll also have yet another div, and it is inside here that I will have my content. So if we look at the almost completed Tailwind dashboard, so you'll notice that under the conversations we have these items here. So we have these icon, we have the name you, and we have the number. So this is basically what we want to achieve in our dashboard here. So that's why we are creating these 2 divs, and inside the innermost div we want to come and have a paragraph. So this paragraph is the one that will hold the word you. So currently I'm working offline, so I may not be able to have the icon. So for that case, I'll just come and utilize this, but just know that we're just using this as a sample. So I'm just going to come and have that on top of our paragraph. So I just paste that there. Okay, so if we now check the browser, we're just going to refresh. All right, and that's what we have. So now we want to style this so that they are like what we have here. So they should be in some sort of a row. So to be able to do that, we're going to start with the very first div, that is the primary div that we have on top here, and we're going to give it a class. And the first class that we're going to give it is flex. So if we just look at the browser right now, so you'll notice that nothing has changed. So let's continue to add some more classes to this div and see if anything will change. So I also want to give this div a height. So the whole of this div, I want it to have a specific height. So for that case, I'll just come and say h64. So it will be of height 64, and every item under this div will have the flex. And I'll also want to have them spaced, so I'll just come and say space y4, and I'll also add some padding, so I'll just come and say p2. And finally, I want to have the justify, so the justify between, just like that. And of course, should not forget to close that there. So let's see what that has done. Yeah, and what that has just added are the padding. As you can see, this has been pushed inwards a little bit. Now we want to have them in a low, so to be able to like spread it in that low layout, we're now going to go to the second div, or the innermost div, and again we give it a class, and we're going to have it with a class of flex and flex low. So let's again refresh. So I want us to just go step by step so that you're able to like understand the purpose of every class that we are adding. Okay, so that is not yet fixed. That means we have a very serious problem in our code. Oh, sorry, so we have a typo here. This should not be like that, should be flex. So in fact, the moment we just load flex there, we should have fixed the bug. So let me just get rid of that fix or flex low, and then we try to refresh the browser, and as you can see, that one automatically makes it to be in a low, and that's what we wanted to achieve. Okay, so we can now come in and the flex low, and we also want these items to be spaced, so we're going to come in and space x1, and we now want to go to the paragraph. We're also going to add a class to the paragraph, so we say class, and the first class that we're going to give the paragraph is the flex. And let's first of all check what that flex will do before now we are able to move to the next thing. Now before we add a class to our paragraph, we also want to come and have the value. As you can see here, we have the value at the very end here. So to be able to add that, we're going to come and have a span, and this is where we are going to come and have the value. Now because we want them to be spaced out, we're going to come and give the paragraph a class, and the paragraph will have a class of flex, and it will not just be flex, because if it is flex nothing will happen, so it will be flex glow. So this will sort of move this value to the very end of this column that we are having here. So let's see what I mean by that. So we go to the browser, I refresh that. Yeah, and this is what we have. You can now see these are in a low, and the value is pushed to the very end of the column. So now we can add some more classes to our paragraph. So we can also add some color to it. So we'll say text, so it will be blue in color, and that is text blue 500. And we also want it not to be that big, so we'll say text XM. So that is for the text. And we also want it to be bold, so we're just going to come and say font semi bold. So we want it to be semi bold, and we also want to add some hovering effect. So if we check at the almost finished project, you can see it has a hovering effect when a person points at every element. Yeah, there's that hovering effect. So we want to add that to the paragraph, and the way we do it in Tailwind is we come and say hover, and then we come and say font bold. Oh, sorry, that one, yes, that one will be like that. And now for us to be able to have the what basically this will do is that it will bold the text when we hover over it. Remember, it is semi-bold, so it will just like become bold when we hover over it. Now we want to be able to have that background color when we hover over it, and that will be under the main div, the parent div on top here. So we're going to get on top here, and in the very top div, in the parent div, we're going to again have hover, and because we wanted to have a background color, we're going to say BG blue, and the blue color will be of which opacity 100, so 100, and this one should be BG, and we're also going to make that background color to have some rounded corners. So I'm just going to come and say rounded, and I'm going to add a padding of 1, so P-1. Alright, so that should have us with that hovering effect. So if we refresh the page as usual. Alright, so that is having it allowed the whole div, so we have the hovering effect in the long div. So we need to fix that. We just want it to be allowed this, so let's try to fix that. So it should not be in the primary div. So let me just get rid of it here. Yeah, but at least that specific hovering effect is helping us to see the div that we are currently creating. So this is the div that we are currently creating of height 64. So every now other item will follow after this. Yeah, so but we should not have the hovering effect there. We should, if I'm not wrong, we should have it in the innermost div. Yeah, because that is the one that is like holding these 3 items: the icon, the word U, and the value 6. So we should not have it there, rather we should have it here. Yeah, all right. So if we now refresh the page, we should now have that fixed. So great, and that is fixed. So when we hover over that specific item, we are going to be seeing that hovering effect. So we can even change the icon if you, I mean the pointer if you want, but let's just have it like that. I also think we should have this icon being a little bit bigger. So for that we can come and say what, let me see, we come and change the height. So the height should be 6, and we also wanted to have the background color. So we are just going to come and say now within the icon class, we're going to come and say BG blue, and that should be 500. Oh, sorry, not 1000. Okay, so that one now should be fixed. Now we want now to have several of those stuff. So what we're just going to do, or what we can just do, is to like sort of duplicate this specific div, the innermost div. You can duplicate it to have those several items. So because of time, we're not going to have that, and the rest, of course, maybe you don't want them to have the background color, maybe because they are not the active ones. So we can remove the background color allowed them, so that they are not colored, they're just like normal. And so I'm just getting rid of the color for the second item, and I also not want it to be bold, but I want the hovering effect to remain. So you can now leave the rest of the classes. So that's how you can be able to achieve that. And maybe we can change this to mentions, and maybe we can say this one is 70. Yeah, and that one will help us to achieve that. But we have a problem here. This one should not be like this. So that means we've given it a background color instead of the text color or something, font color. So instead of having these with a BG, the icon, instead of BG, we should have it with text, or yeah, make text. So let's see if, because we want the icon itself to be color blue and not its background. So let's refresh the page and see if that is fixed. Yeah, great. And that's what we wanted to achieve. That's what we wanted to achieve there. So we're having that. So you can be able to add any other visuals that we want, but at least we are able to achieve something that is close to what we have here. All right, so we're going now to move to the next one. So these are the column here, and so what we are going to do, so that you can also be able to like visually see that specific div, we're going to do it differently this time loud. So we're going to come down here, and again we are going to create a div. So that is div, and what we're going to do is we're going to give it a class, and the class first will be height. So we're going to give it a height of 6'4", just like the previous one, and we give it a color. So maybe we can say BG, maybe BG blue, and this one maybe let's say 200. Yeah, just like that. So that is the specific div that we have. So if we refresh the page now, yeah, that's what we have. So now you can be able to have some contents. You can be able now to have some contents inside there. So again, because of time, we are now going to put any content, but we can just add something to represent the content that should be there. So I'm just going to come and say some other content here, and of course you can also be able to add the padding around that, and also have the items aligned at the center. So we can say items center. All right, so that one now should have us achieve something. So let's see what we have achieved so far. Okay, and that's what we got. So we have the other content there. So you're going to add your content here, and you can be able to add some other content here. So far so good. I think we are now done with this column here, or this component here, and that now makes us to move to the next, that is this part here. So as you can see now, this is what we got. So we want now to be able to have this component here. So we're going to go direct to it because of the time limitation. So this is the div that we are currently editing. So we're going to go direct inside it. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to subdivide this red section into 3 sections. So we're going to have one here, another one here, and another one here. So if we look at this, you see we have this one, we have this one, and we have this one. This content being scrollable, this one being scrollable, the bottom part fixed, the top part kind of fixed, and this one also being scrollable. So to be able to achieve that, we're going to go to this div here, and we're going to create at least 3 divs. So I'll just come and say that divided by 3. All right, sorry. So just come and say div multiplied by 3, Yes, so we're going to have those three divs, and we're first of all going to give these divs some color so that we can be able to identify them or just be able to recognize them. So we're going to give them classes. So class is equals, and the first class that we want to give them is bg, and let's just play with the blue. And then now we come and change the blue to to red, and this one maybe we can say green. Yeah, and so that now makes this to change the color from red to gray. We'll be changing that to some other color. In fact, that should be white. Let me just have it right now, white, and we can just have some content here, like we can say A, can say B, and we can say C. So let's refresh and see now what we have so far. I just want us to go step by step so that we are able to understand this stuff here. So this is what we have. So we need to have the last one with some color. So yeah, this one should be BG. Green. Alright, so we're going to come to the very first column here, the one that has the A, and we're going to give it a width. So the width will be 1/5, and we're also going to give the second one a width. So the width will be 3/5, and the last one will have the width of 1/5. So now we move to the very first one here. We add some more classes. So let me just separate them like that. So we're also going to add some other class here. So that is the flex. So we're just going to come and say flex, and we just want to look at how we want these divs to be aligned. So we want them to be in a column layout. So for that we're going to say flex col. So it's some sort of, created some sort of a column that we can be able to like subdivide into rows and some other sub columns. Okay, so yeah, so let me fix that typo there. Yeah, so going back to the parent column, we should also add flex here as well, so that now everything that is every child of this div here should have the flex. I don't know where I'm getting the T, should be flex. So if we refresh and see what we have, yeah, so this is what we have. So we have the A, we have the B, and we have the C over here. So having achieved that, now we can now be able to focus on this very first column here, that is the A. So we now get inside that div, and we're going to have yet another div inside here. Let me just space them out a little bit here, and this specific div will now hold the hamburger icon here and the word U. So basically we want to separate this column here into two, so that we are able to acquire this scrolling effect and having this top part being sort of fixed, but it's not fixed as such. It's only that this the div that holds this content and the div that holds this content are different. So this is made to scroll, and this one is just left to be normal. So that's how we are being able to achieve this scrolling effect and this top part being fixed. Okay, so let's now be able to do that. So inside here I'm just going to come and have so I'm just going to come and have a link. I don't need it to have the href, So I'll replace these with a class, and the class I'm just going to come and give it font bold because I want it to be bold. And here now we can write the word you. Alright, so we now have that. The next thing that we just want to have there is the icon. So we just using this one. For your case, you can be able to search for some icons and have the code inside there. So let's just have that there. And so now we are going to go to the div and style its contents. So go to the div here and give it a class. So remember, what we want to achieve is this. So we want to have the hamburger here and the word you just being next to it. So so to be able to achieve that, we're going to have it with a class of flex, and we should also have the space between them, so space x2, and we're also going to have it with a height of 24, so height 24, and we're also going to have it with a background color, so that will be bg gray, 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 what, 200, yeah, 100 is enough, and also some padding, so p4, yeah, just like that. So we're going to add yet another class, but we're not going to add it right now, so that we're able to understand the purpose of that class that we're going to add later. And now it's time to refresh and see what we have achieved. Yeah, and that's what we have. So we are now able to have the icon there, the word you, and this very top part now here being gray. And so now we want to now have that scrollable part. We want to have this scrollable part here, this part here, and for that we're going to just have it within a div. So just below that div that we have created there, so just below this we're going to have yet another div, and this div inside it, let me just scroll up a little bit here. So inside this parent div we're going to have a link. This link of course will not have the href, so it should just have a class. So this link will have a class of block, should have a class of block like that, and a border bottom, so that is border B. Right, we also go to the parent div and give it a class, and it should have a class of flex auto, and to make it scrollable, to make it in such a way that the content can be scrolled, we're going to have an overflow, a class of overflow -y -auto. So that will make the content inside this div to be scrollable. Like you can be able to scroll it. Okay, so now the content inside here is lapped within this link. So we first of all have a div that is lapping everything, and now to be able to have this content, we have it within this link. So inside this link we are now going to create a div, and now with this div we are going to have it with some classes. But before we have it with some classes, we're also going to create yet another div inside it. So now that means we have the parent div here, and we have two inner divs, so these are like the children. So now the content that we're going to have should be inside here. So like for instance the one or the name John Mulidi, so it should be inside this. So we're just going to come and say strong, and we are going to have the name inside there, like that. We also want to have an icon here, so we're just going to utilize the icon that we have here. So this is just to represent the origin icon that should be here, and we are now going to have a span. So as you can see, if we look at the word John Mulidi, it has the name 6 hours on its right side. So to achieve that, we're going to come and have span, and we can write now the 6 hours. Oh, sorry, should be 6. Alright, so now if we refresh the browser, let's refresh the browser and see what we have. Yeah, and that's what we got. So let's just style this, and upon styling it, now we're going to add the video at that point and continue the rest in the next episode. So I'm just going to go to the parent div and give it a class, and the first class that will have is a border. So we want to have a border right of 2, and we also want the border to have the color blue, 500. We also want to have it with a padding, so that is padding 3, and the background color should be, sorry, before we go to the background, let's just space the items. So we space the space Y4, and we want to also have some hovering effect in that specific area. So we're just going to come and say hover, and we'll say BG blue, and I will also have that with 100, and it should also have being the first one, should also have a BG of blue. This time round it will be more concentrated, so we can put 200. So this BG should not be confused with this one. This is for the hovering, and this one is the constant background. Yes, and we can also add the P3, the padding. All right, that's it for that. So we now go to the inner div, the child div here. We also give it a class, and the first class as usual will be flex. We want it to be in a low, so flex low, and we should also have the items at the center, so items center, and we should also space them, so space X2. So let's refresh the browser and see what those classes or how those classes have affected our work. Right, and that's what we have. So if now you look at this, you see it's somehow similar, but now we want to have the BG of these this part here not being blue but white. As you can see, this is white in color, so we want to be able to achieve that. So first of all, I'm going to change the size of the icon from 6 to 4, and now I'll go on top here and change this background color from that color to white. Now the topmost part here, instead of it being white, we'll put some glare color. Right, so let's refresh that. Yeah, that's what we got. So if I hover over it, you see now there will be that hovering effect around it. Alright, we are already above 30 minutes, which is our maximum time. So for that reason, we are going to pause the video at that point. We'll continue in another episode. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode. Thank you.